Welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is The Daily Show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the Best Damn Movie-Related Show, coming from right here at the Collider Tour Bus. We're so glad to be here today.
Also here is Jon Schnepp.
That's right. I don't know if you guys didn't see Campea or Harloff. That's because when me and Ellis were like on the, walking the floor doing the thing at the New York Comic Con, they were in the tour bus partying, playing Magic the Gathering, or whatever else these nerds do when they're not doing the hard work, standing at a booth, sweating it out with you weirdos. What's going on?
Also here's Kristian Harloff.
Tour bus, aka Comic-Con bathroom.
Also here's Mark Ellis.
They literally did not leave the tour bus the entire time. They had bunk beds. They did not allow me and Schnepp back on there. That's why we got to hang out with all of you guys so much in New York City.
It was a good tour bus. All right, guys, as happens sometimes, a piece of news drops after we get these delightful sidebars put together. Ashley, what's going on?
Justice League will revolve around Ben Affleck's Batman, uniting Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa's Aquaman, Ezra Miller's The Flash, and Ray Fisher's Cyborg in order to battle the villainous alien threat known as Steppenwolf. But Justice League will also serve to further introduce us to Aquaman's world by also featuring the comics character Mera, played by Amber Heard. Now, thanks to an exclusive from IGN, we have our very first look at the character from the movie. John, what do you think about the first image from Mera in Justice League?
I gotta say, I kind of like it. You know, when I heard they were going to do Mera, it was the same thing as Aquaman. I thought when they first said Aquaman, like, what kind of look are they going to go with? It can't be the orangey scales. Looks great on the comic book page. Looks fine in the animated movie. Not sure that would play well in live action. And I love the look that they went with Jason Momoa. But then I thought, when they said Mera, I was like, what are they going to do there? And look, I don't know a lot about Mera outside of the New 52. I only got turned on to Aquaman when the New 52 came out, and had a lot of people, a lot of you guys, our viewers, tweeting me and texting me, you guys check out Aquaman in the New 52. And I did, and I just love the character. And that's where I really know, all my knowledge of Mera comes from that. And you know what? This is pretty much bang on the New 52 Mera. Like, I look at that, if you didn't tell me anything at all, and then you just showed me this picture, I'll go, that's clearly Mera. Like, forget the fact that it's Amber Heard. I go, that's Mera. I think it looks really great. I'm happy with it. This does make me really curious about what will they be going for with the aesthetic of the overall Atlantean culture, and to see how well this fits in or not. So it just raises more questions for me. But for me personally, I'm a fan of it. What do you think, Mark?
I see why Aquaman doesn't leave the water all that much. She looks great, because this is something I'm very excited to see in Justice League, is more into a bigger insight into Aquaman's world, because you don't know how much you're going to get, how much time they're going to have to do various backstories and stuff. It would appear anyway, from the fact that she's going to be in Justice League, that we get some of that, and that's something I'm very intrigued to see more of. So I think the costume looks great. It's a neat image. I'm in.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I wonder if Snyder is like conferring with James Wan, since obviously he's going to be directing.
Yeah, good
Aquaman,
point.
and like, maybe they're combining some earlier ideas about what Atlantis is going to look like. Honestly, like when I first saw the armored Aquaman look for the Justice League, not the original pictures of him from Batman v Superman, but the more armored up version, and then I saw this Mera, also armored. I was like, why do they need all this armor underwater? It seems almost like, it would be weird for them to swim with all this kind of armor. And then I started thinking about it. I was just talking with Wendy. I was like, well, maybe it's almost like shellfish, or like a crab's casing, or it's like more like an exoskeleton, because they're in Atlantis is so dangerous and freaky. There's creatures flying around all the time, so they need to have some kind of armor. That's the only thing I was thinking about, because her outfit in the New 52, and most of her outfits have always been just like Aquaman's, very sleek and not like bulky and armored up. But so I guess I gotta have to look at it more like that.
It
like
does look a little
shellfish.
heavy. It does look a little weighty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to wear that swimming.
What do you think?
I dig it, and I'll tell you, it looks like her and Rita Repulsa are shopping at the same store, too. But I do think that this is something, when I saw it right away, because I asked you a little bit more on background of the character, and well, she was the queen, basically Aquaman's queen. It's like, well, she looks like a damn queen. She looks great. And I'm seeing a couple comments, people are like, well, she looks great, but she can't act. Go see the Danish Girl.
Yeah, she can act.
She is an incredible actress when she tunes in. And I'll say incredible. Watch the Danish Girl, because I'm with you guys. There are a couple movies beforehand. You're like, oh, man, this is just another pretty face. This girl cannot act. she can act. Go and watch The Danish Girl to prove it. But this particular look, I'm digging it. I like the tone. I totally agree with you guys. You got to incorporate with James Wan to find out exactly what it's going to look like. It'll be silly if it doesn't match up with the movie. So I'm sure you got James Wan's input.
I was going to say Drive Angry. We were talking about that earlier, too.
And that's the thing. A lot of people, I find a lot of film fans do this. It's understandable. Where when we see bad movies, we just associate that any of the actors in it were bad acting as well. You look at Drive Angry. A lot of people don't like that movie. It's cool. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, actually, with Nick Cage, William Fichtner, and Amber Heard. And I thought Amber had a lot of charisma in it. I think she made it a fun movie to watch. Then you watch something like her role in The Danish Girl, and you realize she can perform on multiple levels. So I'm really excited. As far as the armor goes, though, let me throw in this little thing. I'm not worried about the armor because, remember, Atlanteans aren't humans. Like with us put on armor, we just sink to the bottom of the water. With them, these guys fly through the water. It's no deal to them. It's not an encumbrance at all. So that part didn't really bother me per se. It will be really interesting to see, though, once we get into the movie, and we probably won't see enough until we get to Aquaman, the movie, but to see, is this more function or more design? And it'll be interesting to see how that, because Batman's look, that was all function when we saw Batman and Batman v Superman. So is this more regalness? Is this more pomp and circumstance, or is this actually functional? We're going to have to wait and see till the movie comes out. All right, Ashley, what's next?
When comics writer Greg Rucka recently spoke about Wonder Woman's sexuality, fans wondered if his assertion that she was bisexual would make it into her standalone movie releasing next summer. Speaking with Variety about the new development, Gal Gadot said, "It's not something we've explored in the film. It never came to the table, but when you talk theoretically about all the women on Themyscira and how many years she was there, then what he said makes sense. In this movie, she does not experience any bisexual relationships, but it's not about that. She's a woman who loves people for who they are. She can be bisexual. She loves people for their hearts." John, thoughts on Gadot's comments about Wonder Woman's sexuality?
Well, look, I'm not going to be disingenuous here. Everybody knows I'm still fairly critical of Gal Gadot's acting ability, though I think it's getting better. And I'm going to go see that Keeping Up with the Joneses this week. And I'm actually really curious, because remember, to me, Channing Tatum sucked. Worst actor in all of Hollywood, but after he did it for years and years and years, he found his stride, and suddenly, and now I can't wait to see him. I'm kind of waiting to see, maybe Keeping Up with the Joneses will be that for me, because I got to admit, I've liked the trailers. But all that aside, I think this is an incredibly smart woman, because these comments are so perfect. Not only are they well thought out, not only are they like very well placed, but you can tell they're coming from the heart as well. I love the fact that she says, yeah, what he said, what Rucka said, totally makes sense. You have this a community, a society of all women. Of course that has to come into play. But she says, yeah, that makes sense, good. But it's not something we explore. It's not what she's about. She is somebody who loves people. She loves humanity, although sometimes Wonder Woman is very angry at mankind, and that's understandable. But when you go back to the traditional roots of Wonder Woman, she wants to help save humanity. Like, she's got a love for people. So I thought what Gal said here was insightful and bang on the money. And from a PR point of view, the perfect thing to say to diffuse any potential, controversy around this sort of issue. Because when those comments were first made by the writer of the comic book, some people didn't like them and all that kind of stuff, even though they were perfectly logical. Right. I think the way she handles it was just perfect. Anyway, Schnepp, you heard about her comments. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, she handled it perfectly well, and I mean, everything she said is exactly how I feel, and it makes sense. I mean, it also makes sense in the mythology of Wonder Woman as a character. She does come from an island of all women, so even whatever your thought process is, whether you don't believe people can do whatever they want and have the freedom to love whoever they want, if you just think about it just from that perspective, it could have been an island of all men, and the same thing would be held true because they don't have anything to base it on. It's all men or all women. So in that same kind of sensibility, it's like, there is no word for lesbian or homosexual. It wouldn't exist in a fantasy island like that. So.
Kristian.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense. They got desires, people, and that's exactly what happened. It makes sense. Right? We hear what she's saying and how much she knows the character, and that you mentioned as far as being well thought out, and when this came up, she knew she was going to be asked about it.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure right away she started thinking about it, and it also shows how locked in she is in general to the character. It doesn't say what you will about Gal Gadot's particular acting, if maybe you think she's getting better or you don't think she's good at all. She is someone that is invested in this character
very much
for
so.
sure.
Very
and we're
much
going to
so.
see her a lot in the next couple of years as Wonder Woman. So this is something that it's good that she has a lock on, and it makes total sense when you hear the thought process behind it and why and how long they've been on that island, just women. Of course, it makes sense. And yeah, I love the comments.
Right, and just from a timetable standpoint, it seems to make sense that they're not going to focus on this issue, at least in the first movie, that you get to see Wonder Woman as a standalone character, because there's so much else you have to get into when you're talking about her origin story and her meeting Steve Trevor for the first time and going through all these things and establishing her as a character who can carry a standalone movie. Everything that we saw from the trailers, we all loved. This was the talk of New York Comic-Con last week when Schnepp and I were there and you guys were blowing the tour bus. So it makes sense to me that Gal Gadot is on the train with this. It seems like her and Patty Jenkins, who she also referenced in these quotes, they really have a nice locked-in idea of what they wanted to do with this film. So it wouldn't have made sense for them to change course dramatically to fit it into what Rucka's comments were, although I think that might happen in future Wonder Woman films.
All right, what's next?
According to an exclusive report from THR, Benicio del Toro has fallen out of negotiations with Fox to star in Shane Black's The Predator reboot, with the studio now targeting newly revealed Logan villain Boyd Holbrook as his replacement. Details cite scheduling issues for del Toro's exit, but Fox is nonetheless confident enough to move forward, with the outlet also stating that the studio and Black are planning on beefing up the ensemble around Holbrook. A release date has not been set at this time. Kristian, what do you think of Benicio del Toro being replaced by Boyd Holbrook and Shane Black's The Predator?
Well, I have to be honest with you. The fact of the matter is I'm still going to be in the movie. They're not putting me front and center, but I'll be there. I wanted Benicio. I said, come on, do the movie. He said, no, I can't. I do Sicario 2, 3, 4, and 7. So for me, I don't like it, but I'm going to do it.
You're a real trooper, Arnold. Thanks for hanging in.
No, listen, I hate that he's not going to be in it. I hate it. Do I think it kills the movie? No, I think that they can do some cool stuff with it, but I was really excited to see Benicio del Toro in this film. I was really bummed, and I did the Vader no when I heard it, but then I'm gonna trust in what they're doing and how they're gonna build it. And I think that Shane Black's got a cool grip on the story, so there we go.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I mean, I even forgot Benicio del Toro was in Predator. So hearing this news was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't faze me one way or the other because I haven't seen, or I don't know what Shane is planning on doing with this new Predator. So it's kind of an open-ended book. So I'm just going to go in hoping it's a really fun Predator, and I trust in Shane Black. So Benicio's an incredible talent. So it's sad to see that he's not going to be in the film. But I think we're going to see a good Predator movie with whoever they end up getting cast in.
Yeah, Benicio is one of those guys who's got a pretty full plate right now, as Arnold alluded to. He's got the Sicario movies coming up and Episode 8, and we don't know how much his character is going to be involved in that, but going forward, you might see him involved in more Star Wars movies as well.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Right, and so if I had to choose, if you gave me Benicio del Toro and you said you can put him in any movies, I think I'd like to see him in the movies he's already committed on, more so than Predator, especially if you say Boyd Holbrook is one of the guys that's on the table for replacing that character.
Not Hal Holbrook.
Because it was Hal Holbrook. Hal Holbrook. Did I say the guy's name right?
No,
I was looking at it.
No, you didn't say it wrong.
If he's related to Hal Holbrook, that guy made me cry in Water for Elephants. Check out Hal Holbrook. He was just in the beginning and the end. I think it's the right play, and I want to see what Holbrook does, particularly because he's also going to be in Wolverine 3 or in Logan. So I think that guy's on the right track as well. So it's bumming news, but it's not bad news.
Yeah, I was so excited about Predator when I heard Shane Black was doing it,
Right.
period. And after seeing Nice Guys, does nothing but enforce that. So I was already completely on board. I got even more pumped when I heard Benicio del Toro was going to be there. I'm not going to lie. I'm completely bummed. Completely bummed. But I was excited about it before I heard Benicio was in it. I'm still excited about it. Shane Black is going to do something great. And Holbrook, like, he's the name of the week right now. Like, suddenly he's popping up in Logan and now in Predator. And so, like, he's the flavor of the month, I guess. We'll see if he's able to parlay that into something really successful. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. But look, there's no spin to this. It's a hit. Benicio del Toro being in Predator was a huge thing, and the fact that he's not going to be there is a hit. That doesn't mean the movie isn't going to be awesome. Not at all. The movie could still very well be completely awesome. It's still going to be the same director. It's still going to be the same script. It's going to be the same movie, essentially. And I'm optimistic about it, but there's no denying it's a bit of a hit. All right, what's next?
We're going to
Oh,
Rewind.
I take that back. I thought we had one more thing. We were wrong. It is Wednesday, folks, which means for us time to talk about Rewind, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. This is a segment of the show we do every week that I call the Feeling Old segment, where we talk about the films celebrating their 10th anniversaries this week and their 20th anniversaries this week. Celebrating their 10th anniversaries are Infamous, The Grudge 2, and the Robin Williams comedy Man of the Year, movie I think was smarter than most people give it credit for. But celebrating their 20th anniversary, what a week 20 years ago. The Ghost and the Darkness, The Long Kiss Goodnight, and Michael Collins. Mark, you see this list of movies. Which ones of these really stand out to you?
It's The Ghost in the Darkness. And the reason why it's The Ghost in the Darkness is because I remember renting The Ghost in the Darkness in an unusual situation. I had called a girl and I asked her to prom, and she said yes. She was the prettiest girl in school. It was a huge upset victory for me. I didn't know what to do with myself for the rest of that night because I was so excited I wouldn't get out of my head. Drove to Video Update, rented The Ghost in the Darkness, and got lost in a world of Michael Douglas and lions and Val Kilmer and Africa for 2 hours. Then I came out of it. I was like, oh, God, I still got to go to prom with this girl, and I was really nervous. That's my answer, John.
I don't know how to follow up on that. That's actually quite the story.
Yeah.
Look, to me, it's Ghost in the Darkness. Look. Long Kiss Goodnight is great. Michael Collins is great. And I do think Man of the Year is a little underrated. But I'm always shocked by how many people have not seen Ghost in the Darkness. Like you said, Michael Douglas, Val Kilmer. And it's about these just two lions terrorizing an African work camp. And it is awesome. The story is great. The character development is great. The acting is fantastic. And you are in pure terror for 2 hours. Just in pure, absolute terror. That has incredible flow. It is, oh man, I think it is my favorite Michael Douglas movie. Out of all the all-time great movies Michael Douglas did, I don't know that I enjoy a Michael Douglas movie more than The Ghost in the Darkness.
Really?
The game?
I think I like this movie more. I just love it that much. Make sure you guys check it out. Which one of these films stand out to you?
Ghost of Darkness is absolutely a good, underrated film, but the one that stands out for me, we're just talking about Shane Black. That's The Long Kiss Goodnight. It's easily Rennie Harlin's best film, I would say for sure. It's a really good action film. When you first look at it, you're like, this could be insanely stupid, and it isn't. It's not. It's a really great movie, and Gina Davis kicks ass in that film really well. So yeah, that's the one that stands out to me. And still, if it pops up on TV, I still watch it. It's not as dated as you might think it is.
No, it's great. Yeah, The Long Kiss Goodnight for me is the standout. I love that film. When I saw it in the theater, I introduced to all of those people for the first time, Samuel L. Jackson, Gina Davis, Rennie Harlin, and of course Shane Black writing it. It's a great, I didn't know I was a super spy kind of reveal type film. If you've never seen it, definitely check it out.
That's the best part of that movie is when she's like chopping carrots and then her husband's like, wow, you're really good with a knife. And
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened.
It's so fun. It really is. And it goes in all these different directions. I remember being incredibly pleasantly surprised seeing it. So that's my pick for that.
It's funny because The Long Kiss Goodnight for a long time was my movie where when I would see Samuel L. Jackson pop up in something, I'd be, oh, he's that guy from The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
That was the movie for me for a while.
Same here. Yeah.
All right, guys, we've reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Aside from Brie Larson's casting announcement back in July, we've heard very little about what Marvel's first female-led superhero movie will entail with Captain Marvel. However, we did get one piece of key information. Via a report from The Playlist, Kevin Feige was speaking to the press after the sneak peek footage from Doctor Strange, where the Marvel Studios president confirmed that Captain Marvel will be an origin story. The movie is set to hit theaters on March 8, 2019. Schnepp, buy or sell an origin story for Captain Marvel?
Buy Kevin Feige's face from that photo. I'd be like that too if I was standing next to Brie Larson. Now what do? I'm frozen in fear and awe. I'm awestruck and fearful.
You know what you do? You go rent The Ghost in the Darkness just to calm yourself down.
Brie Larson is incredible. So yeah, I buy that. They're doing an origin story. Obviously, they have to do certain origin stories, like Doctor Strange. They're doing an origin story. I think Captain Marvel is owed an origin story because it's going to be a very deep origin story. It's not something you could just explain away or something that's in the fabric of our consciousness like Spider-Man. We all know the story. We've seen all the different movies, the comics, the cartoons, everything like that. Captain Marvel, this version of Captain Marvel is relatively new, and they've got a lot of backstory that they want to cover, and if they are covering it the way that I suspect they're going to cover it, it's going to also involve a lot of the Marvel, rest of the Marvel universe. So I think it makes total sense.
Yeah, I buy his comments completely. He's right. He's said before, no more origin stories. But I always kind of took that as saying, we're not going to get another Hulk origin story. We're not going to get another Spider-Man origin.
Right.
I took him as saying, these characters that have had cinematic origin stories before, we're not going to visit them again. But something like Captain Marvel, I mean, that just makes sense because there's a lot to that character, and it's one of these characters, like a Doctor Strange, that a lot of the average movie-going audience know next to nothing about. Right. And so that's a character that it makes sense. But actually, can we bring up that image one more time, just to get that here? I did not know Kate McKinnon from Ghostbusters was playing Captain Marvel. Does that not look like Kate McKinnon from Ghostbusters?
In the picture, you mean?
Yes.
That meets Rachel McAdams.
Yes, meets a little bit of Rachel McAdams. Anyway, Mark, what do you think about all this?
I buy that call, and I would also buy that it should be an origin story because I need one. I need to know more about this character. I echo y'all's sentiments entirely. That's why Iron Man was so good. And I know that in this world that we live in, where there's so many comic book movies and we're inundated with so many origin stories, it can feel a little repetitive. I think this one's going to have a very different spin on it. So I do need the origin story. Thank you,
Kristian.
You have to have an origin story. So a big buy. I mean, it makes sense. And I know that a lot of times you hear no more origin stories, but a lot of those times you're talking about doing Spider-Man for the 80th time, or Superman again, or Batman. We know how they began. I have no idea how this character began, and I want to learn how. And I think that if you want a mass audience to really get behind it, you have to see an origin story for Captain Marvel. And because it's really the introduction of Brie Larson into this world, you probably might pop her into a couple of, maybe she has the first appearance in one of the movies first, and then you have the movie to kind of gain interest on it, same way we're doing with Black Panther. But I definitely buy it, and then I buy the Kevin Feige.
Yeah, can we bring that up again? Can we bring I gotta see this picture again. Look at that face.
Yeah, he's starstruck.
It's so
Now,
good.
don't get me wrong. I adore Kevin Feige. I think he's a great dude. But that's the face of a man who's never touched a woman
The
before.
eyes, too. Look at the eyes.
It's I mean, you guys saw a room, right?
Right? Look, I'm standing right next to the girl from Room. She's
That's
Captain
a
Marvel.
Happy
You guys
man.
are being way too. Look, we don't have.
Feige.
Adam doesn't have the photo, but I took a selfie with Kevin Feige at a movie theater. I bumped into him. He had the same exact look on his face.
That's
So
when
meeting me is just as exciting as meeting Brie Larson.
That's the new shit rat's face.
I'm just saying that's the face of happiness right there. That's all I'm saying. All right, what's next?
In a recent chat with El Mundo during Spain's Sitges Film Festival, Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow talked about the core thematic elements of the upcoming sequel that's due on June 22nd, 2018. Trevorrow, who will produce the Jurassic World follow-up that will be directed by J.A. Bayona, had this to say about the new movie. The dinosaurs will be a parable of the treatment animals receive today. The abuse, medical experimentation, pets, having wild animals in zoos like prisons, the use the military has made of them, animals as weapons. John, buy or sell the new plot details for Jurassic World 2.
Actually, I buy it because look, there's only so many times you can go to the well with the same thematic, thread. There's only so many times you could do it. I like what he's doing, and I like also that he's kind of pointing out that it's going to be alluding to. Hopefully it's not going to be something that's going to be hitting you over the head with a whole bunch. So I'm really looking forward to what they're doing. And I'm really looking forward, especially now with the new movie coming out, J.A. Bayona directing this. I think that's great. He's actually going to be in studio with us a little bit later today. Keep your eyes open for that when we share that. But he's going to be coming in here too. So I like what he's saying. It makes sense. It fits. If they really do it really subtly, I think it could be very, very effective. Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's bringing up a lot of issues, animal rights. I mean, like SeaWorld, certain things just pop into my mind when I hear what he's talking about. Animal abuse, things like that. And it's a lot of strong stuff to deal with, but I think it's the right move to do something that's different, dealing, with the Jurassic World franchise. I think it's it's smart.
Kristian?
I buy it as long as it's not too preachy. As long as we have, like you look at someone like Blomkamp when he did District 9, like that tone of the apartheid and everything, when you had the way that he did that perfect blend, but then you get something like Elysium where it's just smashing you over the face with it, or Tomorrowland, and it's like, oh, easy. But after seeing A Monster Calls, And knowing what the director's going, just looking at some of the things that he did in general, I have full trust in this guy. He hasn't made a bad movie yet, man. And I think giving him the Jurassic World franchise now, I think they're going to handle it right. I think that's okay to put that in there. That's okay to have those messages in there. If it's just as long as it's balanced, I'm good.
Yeah, Kristian, Mark,
I'm
whoever you
really
are.
struggling with this, man. Because I love Jurassic World. I love the movie, but my one complaint about it was that it didn't leave a lot of different places to go for the sequel. It seemed like we're going to have more evil humans, but when you see a Jurassic Park movie, it's like, yeah, we know there's bad humans, but there's dinosaurs that are trying to attack the good humans, so who do you really root for? In this scenario, it's like I'm rooting for the dinosaurs a lot more than I'm rooting for the idiot humans. So
like apes.
I'm fine with that going in. That's how I feel with apes, that's how I feel with mutants, that's how I feel with a lot of things, but it doesn't seem like a movie that I'm going to get as geared up to see. I'm going to buy it ever so slightly simply because I believe in the team so much. I do like Trevorrow as a storyteller, and I love what Bayonne is able to do in his movies so far. So it's a buy, but I'm not getting that jacked for it yet. I got to be honest.
All right, what's next?
Recently, Disney's live-action adaptation of Mulan secured a release date of November 2nd, 2018. Now we have a little more information about the production and what it will entail. In a report from Vulture, the outlet was provided a full rundown of the spec script entitled The Legend of Mulan, and it detailed how a 30-something European trader falls for Mulan and decides to help the Chinese Imperial Army to win her love. The source with Vulture then shed some light on that version, saying, "The spec script was a jumping off point for a new take on the story that draws from both the literary ballad of Mulan and Disney's 1998 animated film. Mulan is and always will be the lead character in the story, and all of the primary roles, including the love interest, are Chinese." Kristian, do you buy or sell Mulan having an all-Chinese cast?
I buy it. I mean, you have to, and we talked about this the other day. And it is, look, it's going to be, here's the thing. When you have a property like Mulan, which is a very popular Disney film, and the success of what Disney has done so far with transferring over their animation into live action, you hope that the story itself and the just what it's brought, the lore beforehand, will get people in the theaters, and you don't have to rely on just movie stars to get people in the seats. And I don't think they're going to with Mulan. I think they can rely on the story. I think they can rely on getting great actors in there to transfer over from, because even look at who played Cinderella. What's her name?
That's
Lily.
The girl from
Lily.
James,
Pride, Prejudice, and
right?
Zombies.
Lily
Yeah,
James.
Lily James.
No one knew who she was really.
Except from Downton Abbey, but that's about it.
Right. But she was incredible as Cinderella. She was the perfect
great.
Cinderella. And sure, you had Kate Blanchett in the film, but it really was about her. And so I think that as long as you get the right people to play the roles and to transfer the story, this is smart. It's the way you have to do it, and kudos for them for doing it and not getting scared and start putting in, like Margot Robbie as Mulan. It's like, so this is a good movie.
Here's the thing. Mulan has gone from a potentially good movie to now suddenly becoming a very important movie in the cinematic landscape. Because much like we would often talk about Warcraft and Assassin's Creed, and now just Assassin's Creed, being an important film because we were investing a lot into that movie, that video game movies can be great and they can be successful all at the same time, to show the industry that can happen. Disney is about to do something that we've been waiting for a major studio to do for a long time, which is take the gamble, take the risk, because it's seen as a gamble and a risk, to go with an all non-white cast. That's a bit of a risk. That is a bit of a risk for them from a financial point of view. They know that. We know that's a bit of a risk. But what a lot of voices have been saying for a long time is that if you do it and do it well, it will still work. And why Mulan is now an important film is to show that, look, you can do it and it can be successful. That's why it's important. Now, first and foremost, the movie has to be good. I mean, I think we all agree. Beyond anything else, if the movie's not good, it doesn't matter if you got, an all white cast, an all black cast, an all Asian cast. None of it will matter. If the movie's bad, it's going to flop no matter what. But can it be successful if it's good? And I think if the studio system sees that, hey, you know what? If we make like Queen of Katwe, if we make a movie based in Africa, we don't have to put in a white lead for some reason, come up with some convoluted reason why a white actor has to be the lead in that. We can make these movies and they can be successful, and we can tell stories that are more true to their origins than ever before. If this works, and if the movie's good, number one, and number two, we as the audience go out and support the film on its merits of it being good, this could mark a change in direction for the studio system that we could feel for a long time to come. So that's why I feel this is now a really important movie. Anyway, Mark, you hear about this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a huge buy for me as well, and it's also a tip of the cap to how much of a player the international box office has become, and that was very evident when Warcraft came out. Didn't do that well here, but did very well in China, so it's an acknowledgement that the Chinese box office is a major player as well. I think this is great news. It's the right move to make. I mean, that's the important thing, is that it's the right move. Regardless how the quality of the movie is, this is the right play to make, so I'm glad Disney's doing it.
Yeah, and it's also jumping off China, billions of people. So I mean, it makes, and this is a Chinese property. It would be a mistake to not cast it the right way, especially because it's gonna be a gigantic, massive blockbuster in China. Probably way bigger. Even if it's a giant hit here, it'll make way more money in China because it's based in China. So it's one of these things that it just makes sense marketing wise, and also we're in a global world. We live in a global world now. It's not just America, and I think as we've connected with other countries, now we're opening up those ideas a lot easier to see that kind of back and forth. So I think it makes sense.
All right, what's next?
According to a report from THR, Clint Eastwood is in talks to direct a movie based on the true story of kidnapped American aid worker Jessica Buchanan. The drama will be based on the memoir Impossible Odds, written by Buchanan, her husband Eric Landebaum, and Anthony Flacco. The story is about Buchanan, who was working in Somalia in October of 2011 when she and a colleague were kidnapped by land pirates. For 93 days, she and her co-worker lived in the desert while Buchanan's husband tried to have his wife rescued. In the end, President Barack Obama approved the engagement of SEAL Team 6, which parachuted into the area, killed all the pirates, and extracted the pair. A release date has not been set. Schnepp, buy or sell the new movie by Clint Eastwood?
I buy it. I mean, I love the way Clint Eastwood handles properties. I mean, say what you will about his, talking to chairs in the political realm, but this is a film that's about, like, look, people have been kidnapped, and we're going to rescue them the only way we can. We're at, like, against all odds kind of thing. When you bring in those kind of SEALs, that's a tactical force to be reckoned with. And I think this kind of film under Clint Eastwood's direction is going to have that emotional impact.
It's funny, like, just when you start to think Clint Eastwood is losing his magic, because he put out a couple of films in a row that were not at that Clint Eastwood standard we had come to expect. Right. Then he turns around. He's had a couple films in a row. It was most recently Sully, which I always thought Sully was a weird project. Are they really you're gonna base an entire movie on a 2-minute event? I mean, really? And he found a way. He brought so much heart to that movie, whatever. So now I hear him taking on this, and I can't help but be excited. Yeah, for me, it's a big buy.
Yeah, it's a buy for me also. And the fact that the actual real woman is going to be writing it, you'll get a lot of validity obviously from it, and maybe you won't get as much of the, well, that's not the way it happened, And right. I think that with Clint Eastwood, this is almost like his Captain Phillips. So you hear the story for sure. So I think it's an important story to tell. And I think that, like you said, John, I was worried about him for a little bit, but we've talked about this all the time. If you look at someone like Ridley Scott, we're like, well, his last couple movies haven't been good. He hits The Martian, and we're like, yay, can't wait for the next movie. And the same thing with Clint Eastwood, because Jersey Boys, I was ready to say, I'm good. No more Clint Eastwood movies for me. But then he's just doing a lot more that I think he's still got it. So let's see what he can do with this one.
It's a buy for me because I never saw Jersey Boys. I'm like so happy I missed that movie. I went American Sniper and I went Sully, and I did not see Jersey Boys. And American Sniper and Sully were two really in-depth character studies of a human being. And I thought Clint Eastwood did that tremendously. With Sully, what I was nervous about is how he would do the big effect scenes. I mean, Sully was trumped as a huge IMAX movie, and it paid off in that respect too, which I didn't know that Clint Eastwood still had that ability. And so the fact that he's doing something like this, which is going to require some action scenes, some stunt work, I think Clint Eastwood is up to it, so it's a buy for me.
And by the way, this movie is also going to be, the screenplay is going to be written by the same writer that Clint Eastwood worked with on Mystic River. So that's nothing but good news. All right, folks, well, we do this show live every day, and what we like to do is save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take some of your live Twitter questions. We're going to do that today. How do you get your question on? It's simple. Get on Twitter and make sure you're following us at Collider Video and start firing in your questions to us there. Wendy's going to pick a few out at the end of the show. But we also want to remind you that Movie Talk is not the only show on today here on Collider Video. We also got this gentleman over here, Jon Schnepp, with Heroes, which comes online at about 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Keep your eyes open for that. And also, this Friday, we have a brand new movie trivia schmodown competition between a couple of competitors. We want to give you a little bit of a preview of that match right now.
Who knows the movies more than me? Nobody.
Listen, I didn't know this guy's name before he stepped out on the show today.
I am a winner through and through.
The Schmodown has proven you can't win individual matches.
You're going into my arena now.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
I don't know if you saw the Collider Studios today, but that was my arena.
Oh! Listen, you won a gold medal. I'll give you that. But you're an American in the Olympics. That's what you're supposed to do. What do you want, a gold medal for winning a gold medal?
Guy who wears a Patriots jersey thinks he's an American hero. Like, come on.
Keep your eyes open for that match. It will drop on Friday. And also a little bit later today, the latest episode of the Top 10 show. That comes online around 5 p.m. Eastern Pacific Standard Time today. Keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys, it is time for Mailbag. Of course, we love to take your questions, and you can send us a question anytime to the email address collidervideo@gmail.com. Just send on in your questions. Maybe you'll see a question here on Movie Talk. Maybe it'll be on the Saturday or Sunday mailbags. You never know until you send one in. So, Ashley, what's in the mailbag today?
Corey writes, hello, nurse.
Nice Animaniacs reference. Like that.
I have a two-part question for you guys. Do you think James Franco is going to do a cameo in War for the Planet of the Apes? And do you think Koba will be a part of the movie? Where would you put him in the all-time villains list? P.S. I hope he returns. Him and Caesar are great on screen together.
As far as Franco goes, no. They said that the character has died. They've moved on from. There's no reason to go back to that. This is a story. I mean, the character that Franco played was important for understanding the very beginning of Caesar, but now this is clearly a Caesar story. It's no longer that character's story. They moved on. I don't think we'll see Koba return. I think, again, they moved on from that, but I've got a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me thinking that he will return. Maybe one of the guys at the table, Mark?
I'm not smarter than you. I would say Koba has better odds of returning than James Franco, but I don't think you're going to see either one of them. And as far as all-time villains goes, I think Koba's up there. He's not like, my Mount Rushmore of all-time great villains is Darth Vader, the Wicked Witch of the West, Jaws, and Chet from Weird Science. So Koba's not going to penetrate that foursome anytime soon, but I think I could hear an argument that Koba's a top 20 all-time villain, maybe.
I think room for Hans Gruber has to be up there somewhere.
No, we drop him off Mount Rushmore, ceremonial.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, very good. What do you think, Christian?
No way Franco comes back. You go to the well too many times if you do that. They already did it in the second movie, and it worked really well when Caesar went back to the house and saw the videotape, and you had Franco do a little cameo there. That's all you need. You don't need him to come back. Koba's 100% coming back. I'll say 100%. There's no reason why they do that little end credits thing where you hear him kind of breathing and moving through the pipes and being alive to just not have it pay off. Because I can't imagine them doing a fourth movie, maybe down the line. But this Koba is going to come back, and you bring Toby Kebbell back, and what a way to really punch Caesar in the gut to have him come back and help kind of screw everything up. So I think it makes a lot of sense to bring him back, not just to do it. And I also think that he is absolutely one of the top villains because he's not just one of these, well, he's a bad ape. There was a reason why. He was a tortured soul.
Yeah.
You saw him. Remember the beginning of the movie, he saved Caesar and his son. He's like, he's all about the apes. And then it's just once the humans come back into play and it just cracks him.
Yeah.
So there's a good turn to him. So I think that he's a layered villain.
It's kind of like Roka whenever Bespin's mentioned. It's true. Yeah. So what do you think, Schnepp?
Yeah. I think they're both going to be back. I think Franco will be back in just simply a photo. Like, I know that's a cheat, but you're still going to see his face in a photo. I think that's Caesar's only connection, really, that's left with him and humankind, and reminding him of that there are good humans that helped him get out of that horrible situation.
Like doing it like Linda Hamilton and like the
Terminator. That's what I'm saying. Just so you see a little picture, he's going to have that with him. That's going to remind you of that connection of humanity that he still has. And I think, Kobe, you're right. He's going to come back. But I remember them talking about they're doing at least 4
Oh yeah,
apes
I
movies.
think that they want to do more
Yeah.
than just this.
This
I
is
don't
not-
think this is necessarily
I think
the
this is the end of
closing
Caesar.
a
I think
trilogy.
it's the end- I think it's
this
the
might
end
be
of
the end of
Caesar.
Caesar,
Yeah.
but which is why I would speculate Koba, if he was to come back, would be this movie.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't save
Right.
Caesar has his arc, and then Koba comes up in the 5th movie.
Well,
but-
we also don't know if Caesar's going to have kids. We don't know if the lawgiver, all that kind of like mythology from the earlier Planet of the Apes is going to. We figure it's going to come in somehow and work its way somehow into it. But it'll be interesting to see how. But I definitely think Koba will show up.
All right, next question.
Terry writes, "What's up, Collider crew? I was intrigued with the idea of Ben Affleck's The Accountant from the start, but as I see more footage, I can't help but feel I'd rather be watching Batman, or I don't want to see Bruce Wayne sniping people. My question is, was it a mistake for Ben Affleck to take on a movie in a similar genre so close to playing Batman? Thanks, and keep holding it down."
Similar genre? No. This is Batman and The Accountant are very, very different movies. Besides, he's an actor. That's what he does. Samuel Jackson appears in 73 movies per year. I mean, but he's an actor playing a character. And I mean, that's cool. I'm sure Ben Affleck would love to hear that when you see him on screen. Makes you dying to see Batman more. That's great, but that doesn't mean that an actor playing some kind of iconic role should suddenly drop out and not play anything else. No, I think you just need to learn to look at it as a character on the screen and move forward with that. I don't think it was a mistake from him at all. As a matter of fact, I think it would be better for Batman, both for Affleck as a writer and a director, to stay fresh, to be doing other creative projects. I think that'll just make him a better actor and a better director for his own Batman properties. So if anything, I think it's a good thing that he's keeping himself busy doing a lot of these other things. What do you think, Kristian?
Yeah, no, he's got to do this stuff. Remember where Ben Affleck was 5-6 years ago with his career as far as perception goes, or even maybe a little longer than that. But I mean, Gone Baby Gone was a movie he didn't even put himself in because he wanted to make an impact first as a director. And then when he came back to do The Town by putting
So he put Little Him in it.
Yeah, exactly.
He put his little brother in it.
Yeah,
That's true, Little Him.
And because a lot of people didn't realize who directed that. Oh, Ben Affleck, and he just sort of established himself first as a director because he was one of those guys. Let's face it, you Reindeer Games and all those movies from the late '90s, and you're like, this guy's just phoning
Paycheck.
it in. Yeah, he doesn't care about what he was doing, and that's certainly changed. So he's doing things. It's a good thing that he was so good as Batman that you automatically now see him as Bruce Wayne. Because I'm one of those people that when I heard he was going to be Batman, I was like, I don't know if he's going to be the guy to do it, and I was completely wrong because he was the best part of Batman v Superman. And I see him as a great Bruce Wayne, but I can also put it to the side and say, okay, this is kind of his attempt at a Bourne movie now. And then he'll do another movie. He's got the gangster movie coming out too.
Live by Night. Yeah,
he's moving. He's trying to move the needle as an actor and a director, and he's doing different things. So, and I don't think the genre is similar at all. So, no, I think this is a good move for him.
What do you think, Schnepp?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think of him as Batman. I always think of him as Daredevil. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, he's an actor. I mean, when I see Christian Bale in between all three of those Batman films, he was in a ton of different films.
Yeah.
Incredible. He's just an incredible actor. And I feel the same way about Ben Affleck, especially his later roles in the last decade. I thought he was incredible in The Town. He's an amazing director. So I don't feel like he's a great Batman. Don't get me wrong. I think he's probably one of the best Batmans that we could possibly have gotten. As far as like this new version of him, he's different from all the other Batmans, brings his own flavor to it, as you might say. But yeah, I don't have that. I never had that kind of thing. Even with Christopher Reeve, he was in a few films, and it was harder for him to break that role of being Superman.
Right.
But we live in that world now where like every single major star wants to be in a superhero film. That's what they want to do, so that they can then go off and do a bunch of other movies. So I think it's kind of a win situation.
Still working on Daniel Day-Lewis. Got to get Daniel Day-Lewis into a comic book movie. Anyway, Mark, what do you think?
I think it's very smart for Ben Affleck to continue to murder people because that's what Batman does now. He's got to stay in killing shape, man. You can't get soft with killing people. Now, if the accountant's mom's name is also Martha, I'm going to be a little bit upset. I think that's crossing the streams too much. I'm excited to see The Accountant, man. I like seeing Ben Affleck. It looks like it could be like a Bourne kind of spy thriller movie, so we're seeing it tonight. Very excited. A large popcorn for this guy.
All right, guys, now it's time for us to go to those Twitter questions we were talking about. Send them on in. Wendy, what have you picked out?
This one is from Dash Rendar, and he says, since Mulan was voiced by Ming-Na Wen from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., will Disney have her play Mulan's mom?
I don't see any reason why you would. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. I think it's a coin toss and a gimme. I mean, I think you could put her in there and do that. I don't think it's a role she would particularly want to play. I don't think off the top of my head. I really like Ming-Na a lot, actually. I think she's terrific and one of the best parts of that show. Mm-hmm. But I I don't see why she would want to do it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is now like an incubator for any other Marvel character property. So why would she leave?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why she would take the role.
I think the phone might ring, but I don't think she takes it.
No.
All right. What's next?
Dave Wyckoff says, "Hey Collider, I am a big fan and want to know how many people are employed at the studio and what are your jobs off camera?"
Hang on, I'll handle that. 75,323 people currently work right here in this office, but they're all in this other room.
Wait, there's people employed here? As in they make livings?
No. There was an uninformed.
Does anybody get money here, John?
It was an uninformed fan. It was a completely uninformed question.
Okay.
No, actually, how many people? If you look at part-time and full-time, gosh, I'm just gonna be pulling a number out of my ass. I don't know, 15. Dennis, nod or shake your head. Do something. Yeah, Dennis concurs. Maybe around 15 people right now. What are our jobs off camera? I work in McDonald's. It's make it fresh your way. No, this is my full-time gig. But our part-timers have a lot of other jobs. Some, like a lot of people who work here are actresses. Whether it's somebody like Wendy has done a lot of acting. Ashley's done a lot of acting as well. Jon Schnepp does a lot of acting and voice acting and stuff like that.
He tries.
Well, he tries.
Makes an effort.
So yeah, but a lot of us, this is what we do. Do you guys want to add anything?
No.
I mean, I tell poo jokes.
Oh yeah, he's a comedian.
Yeah, go see Mark Ellis. What are you doing?
I just tweeted that picture of me with Kevin Feige. Look, see, he's pretty happy.
He doesn't look as happy.
Yeah,
He's pretty happy to be meeting me.
But he's not as happy.
He's a Roka
Yeah.
fan.
There's a little difference.
He likes Roka.
All right, next question.
Ben Burkwald says, "What is the worst twist reveal in a movie?"
I am your father. Wait a minute. that was pretty good.
Worst.
Wow,
I gotta really
worst
think about
twist
it.
in a movie.
There was a really
Oh,
bad
The
one.
Village.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Tom. Name
Totally.
7 different M. Night Shyamalan.
And it was totally
films.
telegraphable too.
Yes.
Like you saw that ending coming. You think.
Yeah.
I remember watching The Village, and I liked the first act and the first half of the second act too. But I remember once the second act started, they're in the modern world. And
Yeah.
I hope that's not where they go with it, because that'll kind of sour this. And then that's what they went. That's a big one to me.
There was a bad one in Independence Day too, and I hated all that movie so much. There was a really bad twist
all
in the
that
last
movie.
90
Are you talking about
minutes
the
that-
Siri orb?
Yeah.
I'm here to help you.
God.
Give
Yeah,
me a
it was
break.
really, really bad.
All right, what's next?
Just to give you guys my input, I think The Happening twist was awful.
Yeah, that was
Running
a
away
real
from
bad one,
leaves.
too.
That whole movie was one of the best comedies in a long time.
One of the best unintentional comedies of
The
all
whole
time.
movie is a plot
That
twist.
lawnmower scene, man, it made me cry laughing. God, it's so funny.
All right, this one comes from CM Parsons, and he says, "With Phantasm returning with a new chapter, what other 80s horror movie would you like to see to make a return? Killer Clowns?"
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead's coming back.
I want to see the Djinn from Give Me Your Three, the Wishmaster. Bring back the
Right.
Wishmaster.
That'd be a
Three
good one.
wishes.
I don't think we already have it coming out. There's a lot of creepy clowns. It's not a good culture for them to thrive right now. They're trying to pay. Ronald McDonald's taking a break from McDonald's, as you probably know because you work there. But we don't need any more creepy clowns right now. You know who I want to see come back to prominence? Hellraiser, man. I want to
Yes.
see a new rebirth of Hellraiser. Give me more Pinhead.
Yeah.
I don't know if They Live will count, but I would say to see
I
another
would
version of They Live
love-
would be. But going off this creepy clown thing, the best thing I saw this morning, because it does fit into what we do here. Do you see that there's actually someone dressed up as Batman now chasing down the creepy clowns?
No, really?
It's amazing.
That's
there's
great.
There's like this costume shop put together a bunch of Batmans now. All the creepy clowns are getting chased around by Batman.
That's fantastic.
I love this
Christian,
world.
That's
I
not
love
a
this
guy
world.
dressed as Batman.
It's actual Batman.
That's actual
Yeah.
Batman.
But a
It's
group
amazing.
of Batmans,
It's
right?
so good.
I want to
Batman.
see like Batman, like a slightly out of way. I'm gonna get in a Batman outfit. See a fat man, Batman.
All right, what's next?
DC Marvel News says, "What's your favorite musical moment in a Marvel movie? Mine is the Avengers assembling for the first time in New York."
The music?
Yeah, actually, that musical moment. What I'll interpret what you're asking is like that moment where the music and what's actually happening in the scene blend together so well to create an emotional response out of you. And I think you're right. Look, I love the Marvel movies. I'm a huge fan of the Marvel movies, but I'll be honest with you. I don't think musical score is one of their strengths. I just don't. You look at, it's one of the few areas that I'll say that the DC films actually do a much better job than the Marvel films have to date. That doesn't mean there aren't good moments. And the one you pointed out, is great. If that first time, with the way the music's scored and that camera's panning around the Avengers in the middle of the rubble in the street of New York, if you didn't get goosebumps at that scene,
But can you hum it right now?
probably off the top of my head, no.
That's what
I
I'm
just know
saying.
that it elicited that response out of me though with the music. But like, you go to like, honestly, out of all the modern superhero movies, I still think the score of Man of Steel is the absolute hands down the best one.
nailed all of the
Yeah.
those three Nolan Batmans and then the Man of Steel. Like that's an incredible score, and it's
Yeah.
so different from the John Williams score.
Yes.
So definitely Zimmer was able to take and separate himself from the Batman and Superman scores from Elfman and Williams. So I mean, DC definitely is winning as far as like score soundtracks go.
Actually, if you want to hear something really cool, go to the movie trivia Schmodown episode where Mark Riley battled Rucka, and Mark Riley comes out to a blend of the John Williams and the Hans Zimmer Superman scores. It sounds amazing.
Pretty great.
Just go and watch that. Listen for that intro music. It sounds really great.
This is actually, there was a video, and I can't remember who did it, and it's a brilliant video. You guys should look, and it talks about the problem with Marvel scores, and it's something I've been screaming
that's
about.
right. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a great video. You should look for it. It's so many people tweeted out to me because my stance has always been the reason why I think that once Feige kind of took the full reins now over the last couple months, that we're going to see a change in this, and it looked like already they're bringing Alan Silvestri back. They're for the most part, their composers keep jumping around because Marvel wanted to save money because they didn't want to spend money on the actual theme, because once you got to the next movie, if you use the theme, it costs more money. That's why when you hear in Winter Soldier the Captain America theme, which works so well in the first one, it's in there briefly in the second one, or maybe in the end credits. That's why it's not as recognizable, because in all the movies they don't consistently use it, because there are some really great ones. The Avengers theme song, which they didn't even use in Ultron basically at all, is amazing. The first one, it is such a great theme by Silvestri, who also did Captain America. That Brian Tyler has done a lot of things too, but they just keep mixing them up and moving them around that they can't get a lock. And you can't, like Hans Zimmer for Man of Steel, you were locked into it. So when it appeared a little bit more in Batman v Superman, because he did Batman v Superman, you heard it, you recognized it, you knew it. Same thing. That's why I think that DC keeps their composers, lets them, because they understand you have to have that theme. You can't keep changing composers. It's too jarring. But I think as far as the moment goes, I think that obviously the Avengers, because it's consistent, Captain America, but the Incredible Hulk, the one that they did, I believe that Patrick O'Doyle didn't do that one. Can't remember who did that one, but the Incredible Hulk's, Henry Jackman did it, and it's a really good score.
Your greasy passion inspires me, sir. But I'm going to say that Alan Silvestri wasn't the only guy that composed music for the Avengers. There were a few lads from Australia that also had something to do with that. And when Tony Stark lands as Iron Man for the first time, and you hear AC/DC's "Shoot to Thrill," it's like one of the best. It gets you revved up. It locks you in to the next gear of the Avengers.
Well, I think they started that with Iron Man. The AC/DC is like embedded
And
into
Sabbath,
every
yeah.
Iron Man. Yeah, and Sabbath. It's
Yeah.
like sort of like, I love that. They should have more metal music. That's
Damn
what I
right.
think.
All right, we'll take two more.
All right, this one comes from Eric Mariano, and he says, which Collider crew member is most likely to pull a prank on someone?
Gosh, I'm probably Makuga. I guess probably Makuga.
You don't know that guy as well as I do. He literally here's how Christian's brain works. Is it's 10 well-trained monkeys, and 2 of those monkeys are assigned to his family, 2 of those monkeys are assigned to movie stuff, and then 6 monkeys are just at typewriters trying to come up with the next great prank. He is really good at it, but it also gets a little frustrating because you know he's always planning a new prank, and he's probably plotting one for you now because you gave Makuga the prank belt over Christian. Am I wrong?
No. My 2 favorite pranks that I've ever done, if you want to look them up, because they're on the internet. The ones are definitely when Katie Sackhoff pranked Jeremy Johns. I love that one. And I also love when the late great Roddy Piper pranked JTE. Just type in.
Oh, that was great.
Roddy Piper slaps an intern for asking dumb questions.
I've pranked a couple people, but not on the internet or online. So my favorite one I've told the story is like pranking a friend of mine about the Blair Witch Project.
So good.
I just digitally
was
uploaded
awesome.
it and made it. I was like, I don't know if I should call the cops, and I just listened to him like screaming for like an hour and come running down. I was like, This is the most incredible thing I've done. I've done some pretty good mean pranks, but that was the best.
I am not good at pranks at all. I'm not good. The only thing that comes close to defining a prank, and it's not even a prank, was during the movie Trivia Schmodown. It was, who was it? It was Clark Wolf against Josh McCouga, and it was the last question of the match.
Oh, it was good.
And Josh McCouga had a chance that if he got the answer wrong, he lost. If he got the answer right, he won. It was the final question. And I think the category was Will Smith movies. But I said, Josh McCouga, the category of your question is silent films. And the look on his face was great. But I mean, that's the closest thing I've ever. I'm just not good at them. All right, last question of the day.
Miguel Turner says, if Back to the Future had a part 4, which time period would you like to see Doc and Marty visit?
Wow.
Good question.
The 30s.
King
That would be
Arthur.
cool.
I want to go back into the knights. Medieval times.
Like act like
And
go way
would
back.
they bump into the Transformers?
Hell no. No, you've just ruined it for me,
Trying to think
Kristian.
of where a skateboard and skateboarding ability or hoverboarding ability would factor in the best, and I think it would be during a ancient Roman chariot race. What are you laughing for? You get Marty McFly out there and he's
just
like pedaling next to horses.
Picturing Ben-Hur meets Marty McFly.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah, Doc's
That's
going
an
crazy from
unstoppable
the-
team right
Yeah,
there.
I give that the.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting over here, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp, and later today on Collider Heroes. Check it out. I'll see you then.
Right here, Mr. Kristian Harloff.
You can find me on Collider Jedi Council this Thursday. Make sure that you are submitting your tweets. Hashtag Collider Jedi Council. We'll go through them. We'll try to get as many as we can. And then obviously the Schmodown coming up on Friday. Little Evil versus Cody Miller.
Right over here, Mr. Mark Ellis.
Check out the Prankster and I's YouTube channel, Schmoes Know, and I'll be at Comedy Works downtown in Denver this weekend. It's one of my favorite cities to stand up in. And I just tweeted the picture of Kevin Feige, and I might have also advertised my comedy show during it. So retweet it and make me look good in front of the Marvel brass.
Miss Ashley Mova.
Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
And, of course, Wendy Lee.
On YouTube at The Movie Couple channel, and on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And you guys can simply follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at John Campea. Make sure you subscribe to Comic-Con HQ for mine and Jon Schnepp's show. Film HQ airs every Saturday. Check it out. Special thanks to all the guys in the room, and a special thanks to you guys. Thanks for joining us. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.